Hey guys, welcome back from the break. We now have a top 10 on the best launch titles of all time. These games boosted their console's popularity, going on to sell many copies. Think there's any games we missed? Let us know on our Facebook page. Speeding into our first position, it's F-Zero for the SNES. One of the first games to give players a real sense of speed, F-Zero used the Super Nintendo's new Mode 7 graphics to make the game appear 3D. The promise of motion controls came with hundreds of Zelda fans wanting a more immersive Zelda game, and Twilight Princess achieved this. Playing as Link and getting to actually swing your sword was one of the better uses of motion controls on the Wii. Aiming down its sights at the 8th spot, it's Call of Duty 2 for the Xbox 360. Microsoft did not have a Halo game ready for the release of its second console, but a little game named Call of Duty 2 had it covered. Kickstarting the franchise into popularity, Call of Duty would see many more years of fame. Spooking its way into 7th, it's Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. One of the first Mario games to give Luigi the spotlight, it was a completely new field for Nintendo in terms of gameplay. Gone was the platforming of the other Mario games, and in its place was a ghost hunting romp with Luigi as the star.
Hello?
Running and gunning into number 6, it's Halo Combat Evolved for the original Xbox. Essentially redefining the first-person shooter, Halo's story, vehicles, and multiplayer were some of the most innovative things to happen to the FPS genre.
Sergeant Johnson, when you are not in my presence, you can call me anything your degenerate hearts desire, assuming your tiny brain...
Training hard to get to number 5, it's Wii Sports for, you guessed it, the Nintendo Wii. Still the highest selling launch game to date, clocking in at 83 million copies, Wii Sports amazed many with its accurate tracking of the Wiimote. Riding Yoshi into 4th place, we have Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Adding a whole new set of levels, Yoshi, and a graphics upgrade, Super Mario World expanded on everything the original had going for it, and has remained one of the most popular Mario games to this day. Stacking up to number 3, it's Tetris for the original Game Boy. This little Russian puzzle game launched a franchise that would still be played by many for decades. Its simplistic concept adds to the addictiveness of chasing those high scores. Jumping up to our second spot, it's Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. The added dimension completely changed the way platformers would work forever. As one of the first 3D platformers, Mario 64 had almost perfected controls right off the bat, something it will always be remembered for. You just can't go wrong with the original. Super Mario Bros. For the NES is in our top spot. Pioneering the platforming genre, Super Mario is one of the most recognizable games ever. Its tight controls and fun factor made it immensely popular for people of all ages during the NES's release and beyond.
I've had the good fortune to know about Duck Game's existence since last year when it was only available on the Ouya, so it's exciting to see it released on Steam, not only because it's a good game, getting the exposure it deserves, but also it means I can play it without using my friend's Ouya. To those of you that haven't heard of Duck Game at all, it's an extremely fast-paced 2D arena game for up to 4 players and feels like it was made by somebody that thought Worms was too slow and Quake had too many dimensions. You're a sports duck that competes in the Duck Games, where your fans will cheer you on as you use all manner of conventional or unconventional weaponry to slaughter your opponents. Each hit is an instant kill, so you must combine strategy with quick reflexes if you want to be the #1 duck. Duck Game has both single and multiplayer gameplay. Though the multiplayer is undeniably the meat of the game, it would be a mistake to ignore the single player, which is an arcade where you access various challenges that test your skills in all areas of combat, notably chainsaw racing. Depending on your proficiency in these challenges, you will be awarded medals from bronze to platinum and tickets which are used to purchase cosmetic hats and masks for your duck. Some, like the redundant duck head mask, are rather amusing. These challenges are fun, and I found myself trying over and over to beat my best times and high scores in them. Multiplayer in Duck Game is fantastically frantic. The basic setup of games is that a player must win 10 matches to be declared the victor, where a match is a single battle in a randomly selected arena from a large pool that can be expanded thanks to the level editor. The matches will generally last no more than 30 seconds, and every 10 matches there will be an intermission to display each player's score via an absurd shot put with rocks pridefully wearing the players' hats. These basic settings can be changed, altering the amount of matches to win, or even the gravity settings. An interesting aspect of this system is that points are awarded if you are the last player standing, not on how many other players you kill, and even then if you die too soon after the second last player, then you will not receive a point. Frequently while playing, the whole map would end up on fire, resulting in everybody being roasted and nobody earning a point. This helps to balance strategy with suicidal charges and differentiates the gameplay from mindless shooting to satisfying competitive multiplayer. The arenas are varied in size, setting, and in weaponry. Some will have you jumping up trees to pick up a net gun before someone else, while in others you will race through teleporters, or in another fly everywhere with jetpacks. One has all the players locked in a small rectangle where the only weapon available is grenades. The platforming in the arenas is complicated enough so that if you aren't paying attention you'll fall to your death, and simple enough so that you can still fight while jumping around the map. Again, this focus on skill and strategy results in satisfying victories and rarely a frustrating loss. Of the weaponry in Duck Game, I would call very little of it conventional. You have the basic variations of shotguns, which you have to pump, pistols, one of which you only have one shot with, rifles and submachine guns, which have a substantial amount of kickback, and a sniper rifle so powerful you're as likely to shoot your target as to propel yourself off the map. On top of these, you have a net gun, a remote-controlled exploding lawnmower, a book that turns enemies into yourself, a mind control ray, swords, and a magnet gun. There's also a blunderbuss and a musket, shoes, and a weapon that shoots squares of light that will turn you into Peking duck if you touch them. If you want to burn everyone to death, there are also some dangerous fireworks and flamethrowers available. There are even musical instruments you can play, though these are rarely fatal. It's not necessarily the variety of weapons that makes the combat so great, it's the detail that's been put into each item. For example, if you're wearing armor, somebody with a magnet gun can magnetize you to them and then throw you and the gun off the map. The amount of things that it can do with a sword is crazy, and some guns can shoot through doors while others can't. You can even use the kickback on guns to your advantage. You have to pull the pin on a grenade to make it explode, and if you throw your gun and hit someone with it, they will drop their weapon. This variety in detail creates a million possibilities, both funny and intense, which keeps the game exciting and fun, long after you've experienced the map dozens of times. Of course, the game isn't perfect. The online multiplayer has some latency issues, and sometimes it can be difficult to join and then stay in a game, though the best way to experience multiplayer is local play with a few friends. The keyboard controls are also fairly awkward, so I would recommend connecting a controller for the best experience. There are a few glitches running around, one of which makes it impossible to be set on fire if you ragdoll yourself, which is a cheap way to victory if the map is on fire. The kinks are being ironed out though, as the developer is lively and active within the community. As a final mention, I will add that there is a quack button. You will enjoy this. The bottom line is that Duck Game is fun. With the frantic unpredictability of players and the variety of options available, you will still be surprised by the genuinely funny and intense moments created hours into the game. If multiplayer is your thing, you will enjoy this game.